let's talk about making OHN, which is Oriental Herbal Nutrient from Korean Natural Farming. Chris Trump made a really good video about making OHN, and I'm following that fairly closely, except for I have turmeric, which he doesn't have in his video. So I'm going to show you all the different steps. So I'm using a 1,000 milliliter mason jar. Now with the dry ingredients that you use 10 to 1. So of that 1,000, I need 100 milliliters of your dry input. So there's angelic root, there's licorice, cinnamon, and angelic root. Angelic root, you use 2 separate jars for twice the amount. All right, so what I'm gonna do is take this 250 milliliter and I'm gonna fill up the angelic root to 100 milliliters, which will be 1/10 of the 1,000 milliliters the jar is. All right, so I have my 100 milliliters. I'm gonna put that in. Now, because these are dry inputs, we wanna hydrate them first. So what we're gonna do is use beer, something with low alcohol, to go ahead and let these soak for 24 hours. That's what these have been doing. These three, my cinnamon, angelic root, and licorice, these three have been soaking for a little over 24 hours now. Now with filling this, I'm gonna go ahead and fill this up halfway. All right, and I knew that this can was 16 ounces, so once it hydrates, it'll be half the jar. Now that the beer is in here with the angelic root, we're gonna let this sit for 24 hours. I'm just gonna put a lid over it to let it breathe. Through the entire process, you wanna keep them separate. We're gonna go ahead and label this one right now. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and set this one off to the side because this is gonna need to sit for 24 hours before I can add vodka into it. All right, so the next step, now that these ones have been going for 24 hours, is we're gonna add brown sugar to this. Now you wanna do an equal part, but if you add an equal part, you'll end up going a little bit more than 2/3 full in the jar. And you wanna leave some headroom in here so that way the fermenting process can happen. So you're probably gonna end up using less. So 385 for just the glass jar. 525 grams of brown sugar. Okay, so now I have 525 grams of brown sugar. All right, so now I have it just over 2/3 full. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the next one. So that's how we prepare all of the dry ingredients, how we hydrate them and then ferment them. So this will sit for a week. I will keep these out of the sunlight. They'll go into a dark cupboard. Just let them do their thing for a week. In 1 week, we will go ahead and add the vodka to top them off. Now with the wet ingredients, which are gonna be your garlic, your ginger, and your turmeric, because they already have moisture in them, you don't need to do the previous steps, like with rehydrating. These ones you can just crush up and you're gonna go ahead and add your vodka into them. So I've already done these two. I'm gonna go ahead and do the garlic to show you what you have to do. So you're supposed to stir these around every day while they are extracting out all of the benefits from the ginger. Each one of these will get stirred every day. And it smells delicious. So I've already added my vodka to this, and this is sat for 2 weeks. Now it's time to do an extraction of all of the tincture that we've been making. At the end of this, you're gonna end up needing a container twice the size of your original. So I have some 1 gallon glass jars on order, but because of everything going on, it's taking a long time to get those in. So for right now, I'm gonna extract into this one because this is the first extraction. But here in a couple of days, I should have some 1 gallon ones, which will be able to hold the final amount. So we're just gonna go ahead and pour this out, let it all drain out, we'll put all the material back into this original jar, and then we're gonna put in 2/3 of it and then refill with some fresh vodka. It looks like we got a majority of the fluid out. I don't want to leave this upside down for several minutes just to get those few last droplets, so I think that this is good enough. I'm just going to take what's in here and put it back into my container. Alright, so I got all of my garlic back in here, and now we're going to take this and put it in 2/3, which is about 660 milliliters, so right around here. All right, so this is my garlic extract now, which I will keep off to the side. We're gonna go ahead and close this up because it does have vodka in it. It will evaporate out, so we don't want that. We want to keep the concentrate where it's at, so we're gonna keep these in closed lids. And then now I'm gonna take any vodka you can get that's on sale or cheap, and we're gonna go ahead and top this off just under full, because you still need to be able to get like a wooden stick into there to stir it around every day. So now that it's topped up, go ahead and set this off to the side, and then take your wooden stick and just give it a nice stirring. Let all that new vodka kind of work its way into the entire water, or the entire column. And because this is vodka and it will evaporate over time, we're gonna go ahead and just put a closed lid on this. I will go ahead and put these in the cupboard with the other ones that are fermenting, and they will get stirred every day. And then in 2 weeks again, we will go ahead and do an extract. I like to label out when I did an extraction and when the next one will be, that way I don't forget, because it can become pretty easy with the fact that you're stirring these every day, and then you're extracting every 2 weeks for 5 weeks, or five extractions. So about 2.5 months or so for this whole process. So you're gonna wanna keep all of these separate until the very end when you need to make OHN for any of your other farming inputs with Korean Natural Farming. Then you will add equal parts into one container. So it will be 1 part turmeric, 1 part ginger, 1 part garlic, 1 part angelic root, and then 1 part cinnamon and 1 part licorice. And because there are 2 jars, you will add 1 part from each jar. And you should really only make enough for however much you think you'll use within about a year time frame. The extracts are shelf stable because of the vodka, so these can actually keep for years. So if I've had this for 2 years, I can then cut it in half of the dosing for whatever recipe I'm using. Let's say I need 10 milliliters of this for making some IMO. If this is more than 1 year old, it's 2 years old now, I can go ahead and cut that down to 5 milliliters. There are people who use just garlic as a garlic tincture, which is the same thing as what we're doing here. They use that for their plants alone. And I think it's important that you don't have to have every ingredient, because sometimes it's better to do something than to do nothing. So it's better to give your plant that is struggling, even if it's only a little bit of garlic tincture in one of your waterings or feedings, than it is to just do nothing about it and hope the plant gets better. So if you don't have every ingredient, that's okay. Use what you can get. Ginger and garlic are fairly easy to get, and then the dry ingredients, they're fairly easy to get. You don't have to necessarily, if you can get turmeric, that's great, but if you can't, that's all right. And even if you are struggling with getting some of the dry ones, I still think that it's okay to just use what you can get. Even if it's only garlic or only ginger, then go ahead and make your own batch and then just use that. Use what you can to give the plant the best chance it can. And if you do have everything, that's great. You're able to make a more complete and balanced out immune system booster for your plants. Well, over the next several weeks, I'll go ahead and finish this off, and I'll finish making my OHN, and then I will do a video later on how I actually use OHN out in my avocado grows, and also on like my vegetables and other things that I'm growing. So if you want to see more about this, like it and subscribe, so that way you know when I do more of these videos and you can see how to use this. I hope this was useful. Hope you got something out of it, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.